Weather with meteorologist Eric Garlick.
Well, we're going to see those temperatures really starting to heat up as we go through the day today. We're going to see a few thunderstorms popping up across the Piedmont into the Sandhills. And this weekend, we're going to see those temperatures staying hot and humid, and we're going to see a chance for an isolated storm or two. Let's talk about this, though. Breaking news coming in the last hour or so. We now have Hurricane Erin. It has strengthened to 75 miles per hour. Pressure is at 996. You can see the pressure is dropping and the wind speeds are picking up, indicating that this is strengthening, and we will continue to see it strengthen. Really started to register the winds about August 8th, and then the last day or so we got up into the tropical storm category, and now we are in hurricane category as far as those wind speeds go. Where is Erin headed? Well, not a whole lot changing in the forecast path. So as we go through the day tomorrow, expecting it to be a Category 2, Category 3 on Sunday, and then up to a Category 4 Sunday night into Monday morning, staying that way. Look at those winds up to about 140 miles per hour, but look at this big right-hand turn as it heads deeper into its trek. Now, we will still see some impacts in the Carolinas. We're talking about some big surf. We're talking about rip currents and beach erosion, all going to be factors when Hurricane Erin makes that right-hand turn. Even though it's not a direct impact, it's something that we are going to have to watch. Have some showers and some thunderstorms firing up out across the mountains this afternoon, just as we were expecting to happen shortly after the noon hour this morning. I was talking about it, but boom, back down toward Asheville, dealing with some of those thunderstorms. Look at visible satellite. Look at all the sunshine from Greensboro back toward Charlotte, all the way down toward Greenville. Those thunderstorms are firing up on visible satellite. You can see that. We will have that potential here in the Piedmont as we head into the afternoon. Feel like temperatures at 95 in Charlotte, 100 for Lancaster and Chesterfield. Feel like temperatures in the upper 90s for us here in Charlotte. I think we get into the triple digits for feel like temperatures as we head into the weekend. 91 at 3 o'clock. 90 at 5 o'clock. Notice just one or two isolated storms possible with that 20 to 30% chance of rain. So keep the sunglasses handy. We're going to need them for a lot of the afternoon, but we will start to see some cloud cover building as we head toward the 4 or 5 o'clock time frame. Highs today, 80 in the high country, 89 foothills, 91 and 92 in the Piedmont in Sandhills. Those rain chances dropping as we head towards Saturday and Sunday, ramping back up for Wednesday and Thursday. So here's that 7-day forecast. Look at this, 93 for Sunday and Monday. Rain chance is pretty low, but we will see those heat index values up near triple digits both of those days before we start to get those temperatures back into the mid 80s by the end of next week. But those rain chances ramping back up.